What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about, is James Harden responsible for the Houston Rockets failure? So let's see what they have to say about that.
Max, who is most to blame for Houston's failure?
James Harden. And James, why do you make me do this? Why? I didn't want to do this. These guys write their scripts right now. They're the writers of the script. And I know Harden's the best player on the team, and he did a lot of good things, but guys, what did I say all season? Harden has to do what he was doing in the regular season in the playoffs when it mattered most. As Jay-Z said about Nas, went from top 5 to not mentioned at all. Harden's not a top 5 player in the NBA. Get out of here with that. Not if you can't rely on him when it matters most. But every season, he's the best or the second best player in the regular season. Be the best player now. The way Kawhi Leonard's the best player now. The way KD is the best player now when he was healthy. The way the Freak is the best player right now. And don't give me this, oh, look at the numbers. When you need him most. Game 1, dribbles out of bounds. Next possession, takes the 3. You know he's not going to hit it. Looks to get bailed out. He jumps under Draymond's legs, looking for the call for the ref. We know what happened. We all saw it. That's when, down 3 on the road against a better team, that's when you need to hit the 3. Game 3 at home. Remember, maybe he's coming along. He hits the 3 in overtime. Timeout, back up. He didn't touch the ball at the end of regulation. Why? Said revelation almost, because the reveal was, these dudes didn't trust him under pressure. They kept going to Chris Paul. He didn't touch it at the end of regulation. They go to overtime. Now they're up 3. Harden hits the 3. I was thinking, look, that's an overrated clutch shot. There's some clutch component to it. But when you're up 3 at home in overtime, now you feel brave. You can hit the 3. What about when you're down 3 on the road and you can tie the game, or you take the L? Okay, but you know what? Maybe he'll get his confidence going. No, game 6, what happens? Turns the ball over 4 times in the fourth quarter in a must-win game. Stephen A., including with 1:28 left, turns the ball over. Chris Paul looks to get the foul, right? Remember this? Harden's complaining to the ref, not getting back on defense. You know when he hits the 3? When the game's really over. 24 seconds left in the game, down 8. Harden hits the quick 3. Oh, maybe he's keeping a minute. Come on, man. In that situation, the pressure's off. Whenever you see the pressure really ratchet up in the playoffs, you know what's going to happen with Harden. It doesn't mean it'll always be this way, but that's how it's been so far. I don't take any pleasure in saying it, but we got to tell the truth. We get paid to tell the truth, and that's the truth.
Well, I don't think you're lying.
So that you're absolutely right, Max. That is the truth. And you said that James Harden is not a top 5 player. He's probably not a top 10 or top 15 player when you get to the playoffs, because I can name probably 3 or 4 players just on the Warriors that are better and more clutch than James Harden is, let alone all the other teams that have players. So as far as that, there's no way James Harden is clutch, because you can do it during the regular season, but you can't do it when it counts. And what tells me they didn't want to win is because in Game 5, with the last 9 minutes, James Harden only took 1 shot. He only took 1 shot, and it wasn't even a 3-point shot. James Harden took 1 shot in the last 9 minutes of Game 5. And then Chris Paul wasn't much better. Chris Paul had 11 points. He went 0 for 6 for 3-point shots. Those guys didn't want to win. They did not want to win. And I don't care if you want to say, well, they didn't want to give the ball to James Harden because he wasn't hot or, whatever the situation is. He got you there. He's your guy's bread and butter. So don't start switching it up now. It's too late to start switching up now. He should have been taking mad shots. I tell you what, I would rather have, if I was a Houston fan, I would rather have James Harden take all the shots in the fourth quarter and be an absolute ball hog and give them the best type of chance than him taking 1 shot in the last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter. I had no problem when Kobe was being a ball hog and say, you know what, let me just take this team on my back. Let me take all the shots. I think I can do it. MJ did the same thing. But hey, no, not James Harden. James Harden, he can't do that. It's Choke City. And they know it. And also, Game 6. I mean, what more did the Houston Rockets need to be able to beat the Golden State Warriors? What more did they need? So they're playing at home. The Golden State Warriors had no Kevin Durant. Houston Rockets had Chris Paul was playing. James Harden was playing. And the absolute kicker, Steph Curry put up a goose egg in the first half. Steph Curry didn't score 1 point in the first half. Not the first quarter, but the first half. And they couldn't take advantage of that? You guys cannot take advantage of that? What more do you guys need? I mean, what more do you guys need? So let's keep going. I've said enough. Let's keep going.
I just think you're misinformed. I believe that when it comes to James Harden, I am not about to sit here and defend him, go the complete opposite direction of you, because you do make some valid points in terms of, big moments. Here's where James Harden is ultimately guilty of. You ain't Steph Curry. You ain't Steph Curry. That's what we saw.
So wait a minute. So of course he's not a Steph Curry, but he could be Steph Curry-ish during the regular season though, right? So he can score 32 games and get 30 points plus for 32 games. He can score 30 points on each team that he's played throughout the year, right? So that's kind of Steph Curry-ish to me. But he can't do it during the regular. He can't do it during the playoffs. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You cannot do it during the playoffs. So let's keep going.
Now, having said all of that, when we talk about the question, who's the most to blame? I can't believe I'm about to say this. I actually think that James Harden, folks are being entirely too hard on him. Let me tell you something. We're going to talk about Mike D'Antoni today. And I'm going to tell you why we're going to talk about Mike D'Antoni. Max Kellerman, what did I say all year long? When you were talking about Chris Paul, and I reminded you that Andre Iguodala was hurt too, and you said Chris Paul goes down in Game 5. Had he not gone down, they would have won. And I made the claim to you, I don't want to hear about numbers. I'm telling you that Golden State would have found a way to beat them. No matter what they did in Game 7, Golden State would have found a way. So we fast forward.
So wait a minute, is Stephen A. Smith talking about this year's playoffs or last year's playoffs? Because I could have swore Stephen A. Smith was the main one talking about, it's over for Golden State. Golden State, Kevin Durant's hurt. There's no way Golden State's going to be able to Houston. Houston's going to beat them and, it's over. The dynasty's over. All because Kevin Durant got hurt. I could have swore that was Stephen A. Unless he's talking about last year's playoff, this year, he definitely was talking about the Houston Rockets are going to beat the Golden State Warriors because the Golden State Warriors' bread and butter was Kevin Durant, and he's out hurt. I even made some videos on it. So I hope he's talking about last year's playoffs instead of this year. But let's see.
And I kept saying why. Because of the system that D'Antoni deploys in Houston, you can't beat a team like Golden State with a one-man army. Can't do it.
So, yes, you can, Stephen A. Smith. And let me give you prime examples. And I'll save the best for last, what just happened yesterday. So, with the one-man army, you can win a championship. Like I said before, look at Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki won a championship pretty much by himself in 2011 when he beat the Miami Heat, LeBron James. I think his only supporting cast, I want to say, was either Jason Kidd or Steve Nash. I can't remember. But for the most part, it was Dirk Nowitzki putting in work to get that championship. The next guy is Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant won 2 rings when Shaq left. I mean, he pretty much did it by himself. So who do you have there? Was maybe Lamar Odom, Paul Gasol, which is he's soft, and Meta World Peace. I like Meta World Peace. He's a beast. Ron Artest, I like them. But for the most part, there was nobody on Kobe Bryant's All-Star level when Kobe won his 2 rings. So it's pretty much by himself. And another guy is Allen Iverson. Look at Allen Iverson got the Philadelphia 76ers all the way to the finals and won 1 game against the Lakers. I think it was 03 or 04. And that was the year that the Lakers swept all the way through the playoffs until they got to the finals. And Allen Iverson by himself got 1 game off the Lakers. 1 game off the Lakers. So to say that you can't be one-man show it can be done. It can be done. And my final example is that one guy who made a game-winning shot yesterday, and his name is Kawhi Leonard. He plays for the Toronto Raptors. He's been a one-man show. A one-man show. Pretty much the whole playoffs. Now, Siakam, he has been helping out. He's had some big games too. But for the most part, it's been Kawhi Leonard pretty much doing it by himself. Kyle Lowry, the first game, he put up 0 points. And a game yesterday, he put up 10 points, went 1 for 7 from a 3-point shot. But like I said, it can be done with the one-man show, and Kawhi Leonard is doing it. Kawhi Leonard is doing it as the one-man show. So it can be done, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. It's just James Harden can't do it. He's not that guy. He's just not that guy. And it can be done. So let's keep going.
Can't do it. I said, I don't care what you're seeing from James Harden during the regular season. They're going to figure you out. And I said, the numbers are not going to tell a story. It's the style of play that matters. How did I prove my point? James Harden right here, through the series, averaged 40 minutes, 34.8 points, 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 44% shooting, 35% three-point range. Those are similar to the numbers he did during the regular season. Now, we can talk about moments, and I'm not disputing what you're saying is, because, again, I'm willing to concede he's not Steph Curry. But the flip side to it is this. You know what Steve Kerr did? After they lost, I'm at the game. After they win, but Kevin Durant gets hurt, Game 5, Golden State, okay? Quinn Cook is out there shooting the basketball. What happened? Why is he out there? Steve Kerr like, all hands on deck. This is what we gonna do, because we gotta beat them by committee. Okay? They go into Game 6. Kevon Looney shows up, 14 points. Iguodala, 5 3-pointers. Quinn Cook comes off the bench. Listen, plays 16 minutes, doesn't commit one turnover. Not one turnover. You saw Andrew Bogut played 11 minutes. Didn't score, but played 11 minutes for you.
Number 1 overall draft pick.
What I'm telling you is, we got 9 or 10 dudes out on the court. And they're funny. They're moving the basketball. They're spacing. They're spreading the floor. They're making sure. Sean Livingston, who's considered to be on his last leg, yammed it down the middle for a dunk, scored on.
So I don't know why you keep saying Sean Livingston and Iguodala are just these old guys compared to 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, so 2 or 3 years ago, these guys were young, spunky guys that were balling and winning championships. And 2 or 3 years later, all of a sudden now they're applying for Social Security. Stephen A. Smith, it doesn't make sense. Those guys are ballers. You just may not hear about them necessarily because they come off the bench, because they're overshadowed by Clay, Steph, Kevin Durant, and Draymond. But don't talk like they're old. They're still ballers, and they showed it.
Another layer. Everywhere you turn, you saw coaching and you saw individuals that were prepared for the moment. And who's to prepare to be without Kevin Durant? How can you assume that's going to happen? But when it happened, they were ready. Okay? So what happens? What does Houston do? You got CP3 played an exceptional game. Exceptional game. Was the only exceptional game he played this series. Only exception. CP had the numbers, but why were you not aggressive? Why were you constantly deferring and giving the ball over to James Harden and walking to the side? Did Father Time catch up to you, or did Mike D'Antoni catch up to you? Eric Gordon, why was he not touching the ball enough in Game 6? Where the hell was he at? You're looking at some of the things that have transpired, and once again, what happens is a guy like James Harden constantly has the ball in his hands. Yes, he had opportunities to make shots. He was also being doubled. He was also having the ball forced out of his hands on occasion. Mike D'Antoni's system in Houston ain't gonna beat Golden State.
Okay.
No, they can be beat, and they've done it earlier in the year, so I don't want to hear anything about that. But as far as, James Harden supporting cast, so what, Tucker had 15 points in Game 6. This is Game 6 stats. So Tucker had 15 points, 5 for 8, 3 for 6 from the three-point. Capella had 10 points, went 5 for 10. Chris Paul had a great game, 27 points, he went 11 for 19, 3 for 6 for the three-point, he had 11 boards. Harden had 35 points, he went 11 for 25, 6 for 15 three-point, and Gordon had, 9 points, 4 for 10, and 1 for 2 from 3-point. So that's not the worst of games, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that you can't measure with stats that Harden should have somewhere been able to step it up, because he had a supporting cast and they can't take advantage with Steph Curry being out in the first half. So somewhere they need to make those adjustments. Maybe Stephen A. Smith is right about the coaching. But again, it's got to go to Harden. He should have been taking full advantage in that first half when he knew Curry was in foul trouble. But let's see what the stats for the Golden State Warriors. So Green had 8 points, 0 for 2 for the three-point, went 4 for 9. Curry had 33 points, he went 9 for 20, 4 for 11 for the three-point. And all of those points were scored in the second half. All that was in the second half. As a matter of fact, I think Curry got 10 points in the third quarter and 23 points in the fourth quarter. And it just came up completely clutch. Iguodala had 17 points, came off the bench balling. Klay Thompson had 27 points. He went 10 for 20, 7 for 13 for the three-point line. So Klay was one of the main guys that was holding it down during the first half. Absolutely holding it down. And a lot of guys off the bench. But also, Kevin Looney, he had 14 points. He went 6 for 8, had another good game. He had another good game 2 or 3 games ago where he went 6 for 6. And like Stephen A. Smith said, Sean Livingston, he had, I think, 11 points. And I think he went 4 for 6. So, there was opportunities for Harden to take advantage of the situation. His team was playing all right in Game 6, enough to they could have definitely beat the Golden State Warriors. But they just didn't take advantage. Especially, like I said, Curry had 0 points in the first half. I mean, there's just so many things that they could have taken advantage of and really pulled away, but they couldn't do it. So, I don't know. They pretty much got beat by, I don't want to say Golden State's bench, because they really did in the first half. But, Steph Curry, being the champion that he is, he did what you're supposed to do, is come through when it's time, unlike what James Harden does. Steph Curry, 0 points, first half. Second half, comes alive, goes crazy, and starts sinking buckets when you needed it. And James Harden did the complete opposite. When you need him, he's nowhere to be found, especially during the playoffs and the regular season. He's the all-star champion. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason for the Houston Rockets. So I don't know. Let's finish it up.